Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes families of British POWs killed by Japan World War II military demand apology, answers. The world is on fire, Trump crushed his rival Haley again, but she's vowed to keep fighting. Santa Fe inventor tries to get momentum for air mover he says can help firefighters. US, UK bomb Houthi sites in Yemen amid surge in Red Sea ship attacks. 96 airmen to deploy from Grand Forks Air Force Base in April. Families of British POWs killed by Japan World War II military demand apology, answers. South China Morning Post. Jacqueline Frithcrofts, a relative of one of the victims of the Suez Maru sinking during World War II, is demanding answers from the British government as to why the war crime was not prosecuted and was eventually covered up. The Suez Maru was a Japanese ship that transported Allied prisoners of war in inhumane conditions. After being hit by torpedoes, the ship sank with hundreds of prisoners still on board. The survivors were then shot in the water by their Japanese captors. Frithcrofts delivered a petition to Downing Street signed by 320 relatives of the victims, demanding an apology from the UK government for its failure to prosecute and for concealing the facts from the victims' families. She is also seeking an apology from the Japanese government, an acknowledgement that Japan was the aggressor in the war, and recognition of Yoshio Kashiki, a Japanese soldier who witnessed the atrocity and alerted war crimes investigators. Frithcrofts has not yet received a response from the British government and plans to continue her campaign until she gets answers. The world is on fire, Trump crushed his rival Haley again, but she's vowed to keep fighting. ABC. Donald Trump has won the South Carolina primary, securing his fourth consecutive victory in the race to become the Republican Party's presidential candidate. Trump won with around 60% of the vote, while his closest rival, Nikki Haley, received around 40%. Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, had stepped up her criticisms of Trump in recent weeks, calling him unhinged and a bully. However, her attacks failed to weaken his support. Trump's victory in South Carolina solidifies his position as the frontrunner for the Republican nomination. He has already won the primaries in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. The next vote in the Republican primary season will be held in Michigan on February 27. Santa Fe inventor tries to get momentum for air mover he says can help firefighters. Yahoo! Santa Fe inventor Wayne Darnell has patented a high-velocity mobile air mover that could help firefighters push fires back onto burnt soil, extinguishing them faster. The machine, which looks like a giant fan, would be used for prescribed burns and would be more cost-effective than a new fire truck, which can cost up to $1 million. Darnell is applying for a National Science Foundation grant to build a better model of the machine, which he has already tested, and said it could also be used to create escape routes for firefighters. US, UK bomb Houthi sites in Yemen amid surge in Red Sea ship attacks. Al Jazeera. The US and UK have bombed 18 Houthi targets in Yemen in response to the rebel group's increased attacks on ships in the Red Sea. The attacks included strikes on underground weapons and missile storage facilities, air defense systems, radars, and a helicopter. The US has been carrying out almost daily raids against the Houthis since January 12, but the attacks have failed to halt the rebel group's assaults on ships. The latest bombings were supported by Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. The Houthis have denounced the US-British aggression and pledged to continue their military operations. 96 airmen to deploy from Grand Forks Air Force Base in April. Yahoo! 96 airmen from the 319th Reconnaissance Wing will deploy overseas in April in support of the unit's surveillance and global communications responsibilities. The airmen will be stationed at 20 different air bases for 4 to 6 months in the Middle East, Europe and Africa, according to Wing Commander Colonel Tim Monroe. US and UK launch new wave of strikes on Houthis over continued Red Sea attacks. South China Morning Post. US and UK forces have carried out another round of airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen, according to a joint statement signed by Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. The statement said that the attacks specifically targeted 18 Houthi targets across 8 locations in Yemen. The strikes were made in response to a series of attacks on shipping by the Iran-backed Houthi rebels, which have been described as a threat to the global economy. The US has conducted repeated unilateral strikes against Houthi positions and weaponry on the grounds of self-defense. RMT leader backs Corbyn for general election. BBC. The RMT union has announced that it will support former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn at the next general election. The union, which became estranged from Labour in 2004, is free to support candidates from other parties. It is expected that Corbyn will stand as an independent in the next election. Corbyn was suspended from the Labour Party last year following a row over anti-Semitism. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said he expects to call the election in the second half of 2024. Shortage of oil tankers at hand as Red Sea attacks divert trade. Yahoo! Long-standing warnings from the oil tanker industry that too few of the ships are being built are coming back to haunt the market after Houthi attacks on commercial shipping caused widespread diversions in global petroleum trades. No safe places left in Gaza as Ziyara family try to protect their children in Rafah. ABC. The war in Gaza has had a devastating impact on the Ziyara family, who have been displaced from their home and are living in constant fear. Journalist Lord Garcia Navarro spent time with the family in 2011 and has kept in touch with them. Sami Ziyara, the father, is a journalist for ABC America and has been able to provide for his family during the war, but they have had to move 16 times in the past 4 months to find safety. Their dream home, which Sami had worked hard to build, has been partially destroyed in the war. The family has experienced personal tragedy too, with 2 of Friel Ziyara's brothers, her sister-in-law and her 8-year-old niece being killed in an Israeli airstrike. Sami and Friel's youngest child, Karam, is now 12 years old and has been communicating with Garcia Navarro through Facebook messages. He says he is very sad about the damage to his home and hopes to leave Gaza with his family. The family is separated, with some members stuck outside of Gaza and unable to return. The war in Gaza continues and there is no end in sight. The Ziyaras and many other families are living in constant fear and uncertainty, with no safe places to take their children. Garcia Navarro struggles to find the right words to reply to their messages, knowing that she can do little to help them. The article highlights the devastating impact of the war on the lives of ordinary families in Gaza and the urgent need for a resolution to the conflict. Quebecers take to streets to mark second anniversary of Russian invasion of Ukraine. CBC. On the second anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian community in Quebec marched through Montreal to raise funds for troops in Ukraine. Over 30 marches were organized across Canada to show solidarity with Ukraine and to call for an end to the war. The Ukrainian community in Montreal also raised funds by selling baked goods and toys, with the proceeds being used to purchase medical kits for civilians and soldiers in Ukraine. Canada has committed over $13 billion in assistance to Ukraine since 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the sixth dimension. Today, I bring you a diverse range of news stories from around the world. We start with the families of British POWs killed by Japan during World War II demanding justice and answers. It's a heartbreaking story of loss and the search for closure. Moving on to U.S. politics, we see Donald Trump once again dominating the Republican primary race with a victory in South Carolina. It seems that no matter what his rivals throw at him, Trump's support only grows stronger. It's a wild ride that shows no signs of slowing down. Inventor Wayne Darnell from Santa Fe has patented a machine that could revolutionize firefighting. His air mover aims to help firefighters extinguish fires faster and more cost-effectively. It's an innovative solution to a perennial problem. The conflict in Yemen continues to escalate, with the US and UK launching airstrikes on Houthi targets. The Houthi rebels have been attacking ships in the Red Sea, prompting international intervention. It's a dangerous situation that threatens the global economy and shows no signs of abating. In other news, airmen from the Grand Forks Air Force Base in the US are set to deploy overseas in support of surveillance and global communications responsibilities. It's a reminder of the sacrifices made by men and women in uniform to keep us safe. The RMT union in the UK has announced its support for former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. This comes after Corbyn's suspension from the party last year over allegations of anti-Semitism. It's a surprising twist in UK politics that adds further complexity to an already tumultuous landscape. The oil tanker industry is feeling the impact of Houthi attacks on commercial shipping, causing widespread diversions in global petroleum trades. It's a stark reminder of the vulnerability of our global supply chains and the need for greater security measures. Finally, we have a heartbreaking story from Gaza, where the Ziyara family is living in constant fear and uncertainty due to the ongoing war. Journalist Lord Garcia Navarro has been in contact with the family and witnesses the devastating impact of the conflict on their lives. It's a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the urgent need for a resolution. And there you have it, folks. A snapshot of the world we live in, with all its triumphs and tragedies. Now, I turn to you, my observant audience. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or insights to share? The floor is yours. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6 Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.